As you know, for those of you who've been here one or more days this week, we've been working with the imagery of the visual imagery of sitting on a perfectly still body of water, a lake perhaps, or a pond, with the water unmoving and perfectly smooth, a glassy surface, perfectly mirroring the sky that's and the sun and the clouds. For some, as I've heard, that's an imagery that is maybe problematic or just doesn't resonate for you. So if that's the case for you, I just want to suggest that you call to mind when we sit together in a moment, so any place in your life or any location that for you represents a place where you can access the stillness that resides within you. Our practice right now is to visualize ourselves in a place of stillness that helps us notice and access an inner center of stillness within each one of us as well. What has this got to do with gratitude? Just a reminder that hodaya, gratitude, also has a Hebrew root, which has a connotation of confession, of acknowledgement, of simply recognizing what is true in the moment. And when we're in the present moment, we are not focused on what we haven't received or what we have yet to receive. We have what we have in this moment. And as we learned in the teaching from Ben Zoma and Pirkei Avot, we are ashir, we are rich because we are able to rejoice in our chelek, in our portion, which is this moment, this breath, this experience, right where we are right now, and feel satisfied and feel grateful and feel full. So I want to invite us in a moment to go back out to that still place on lake. We'll get our oars and paddles and head out there in a moment. But I want to begin this with a poem by the poet Marc Nepo, beautiful contemplative poet. And I'll share this poem and share it on the screen. Thanks to Kat for sharing the link for those who would like it. It's called Accepting This. It's a perfect title for a poem for this week, since we're really framing gratitude as the capacity to accept this. And just a reminder that even the word this, or zot in Hebrew, in Jewish mysticism, has a connotation of the divine presence, of the Shekhinah. So Marc Nepo writes, yes, it's true. I confess I have thought great thoughts and sung great songs, all of it rehearsal for the majesty of being held. The dream is awakened when thinking I love you, and life begins when saying I love you, and joy moves like blood while embracing others with love. My efforts now turn from trying to outrun suffering to accepting love wherever I can find it. Stripped of causes and plans and things to strive for, I have discovered everything I could need or ask for is right here in flawed abundance. I have discovered everything I could need or ask for is right here in flawed abundance. We cannot eliminate hunger, but we can feed each other. We cannot eliminate loneliness, but we can hold each other. We cannot eliminate pain, but we can live a life of compassion. Ultimately, we are small living things awakened in the stream, not gods who carve out rivers. Like human fish, we are asked to experience meaning in the life that moves through the gill of our heart. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Accepting this, we can do everything and go anywhere. We are small living things awakened in the stream, not gods who carve out rivers. Like human fish, we are asked to experience meaning in the life that moves through the gill of our heart. There is nothing to do and nowhere to go. Accepting this, we can do everything and go anywhere. So let's begin just by following that instruction, but by accepting this. Once again, if you're comfortable, I can invite you to close your eyes. And if you're occupied with taking notes or anything else, just gently invite you to let go of that and let yourself come to this. Plant your feet on the floor if that works for you, if that's comfortable. You can adjust your posture and roll your shoulders back. Maybe like me, you're become slumped over from sitting. Make some space in the chest for the lungs to receive air. And we're just breathing together for a while. And our focus phrase for this is just that, zot, this. You can choose your anchor, this breath, this sound, this sensation, this thought, this feeling, this moment, this place. Just this. Let's sit for about 5 minutes in silence and stillness. Letting ourselves come to rest, to come to a posture of Shabbat, of just receiving this. This is the practice of Shabbat, of releasing the instinct to do, to produce, to create, to make things or people or ourselves other than who we are right now, to work on ourselves, work on our relationships, work on the world. And we just set down our tools and cultivate the inner ability that we all have somewhere within us to just fully accept our imperfect selves, our imperfect relationships, our imperfect families, our imperfect world, just for a bit. Not even to have to search for the good parts, but to accept it all. That which we usually categorize as good or bad or ugly. And if there are any objections raised, take those under advisement for a while. Don't have to rule on those. To say, oh, objection noted. Objection noted. I'm just trying this out. Radical acceptance. We're just to live, just to be, just to breathe, as Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel teaches. Just to be, that's holy enough. Very countercultural, very counterintuitive for many of us. Not easy. Not for the faint of heart. So as you're sitting in your place of stillness, whether it be on that quiet lake or in the stillness of the forest or the desert or wherever you might be, imagining yourself sitting, resting, listening for the quiet and stillness that is always there under the noise of the world. I'm going to share the words of Psalm 92, which is part of the liturgy, part of the prayer service for Kabbalat Shabbat. It's the song for Shabbat. You can keep your eyes closed if you like and just listen to the sound of my voice as I share. Or if you like, you can follow along with the words, but they'll be there for you when you come back if you like. The psalm begins, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbat. A psalm, a song for Shabbat. And the words are, Tov lahodot ladonai ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. It is good to thank the Holy One, to thank Yah, to sing to your name, Elyon, transcendent. Lahagid ba boker chastecha, ve'emunatcha baleilot. To proclaim your chesed, your steadfast love, in the morning at daybreak. Your emunah, your faithfulness every night. Alei asur v'alei navel, alei higayon v'chinor. With a 10-stringed harp with voice and lyre together. Ki simachtani Adonai b'foalecha. You have infused me with joy, Yah, Adonai, by your works. I sing for joy at your handiwork. Ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai, ma'od amku machshavotecha. How awesome, how great are your works, Adonai, Holy One. Ma'od amku machshavotecha. How deep are your thoughts? How mysterious is this, how wondrous is this world? Song for Shabbat. So as we sit for the next 5 minutes, Let's listen to the words of that song as sung by the Israeli community, the leaders of the Israeli community, Nava Tehillah. And again, we're just continuing to sit together. We are making our way into Shabbat together. We are making our way into a place of fullness and gratitude, where our cup is filled to overflowing, where we lack nothing, where we realize that all we need is present in this moment. This is Shabbat. As we let the melody penetrate, absorb those words, Tov lahodot ladonai, u'zamer l'shimcha elyon. It is good to enter into Shabbat by cultivating our ability to accept, acknowledge, recognize, and even love our lives just as they are. It may help to call to mind your own personal gratitude list right now, the people you'd like to thank, the aspects of your life for which you're grateful. As we sit cultivating stillness and extending the week of Hod into the week of Yesod, see if you can bring a little more stillness into your body. With each exhalation, releasing the tension or the impulse to criticize or critique. Seeing if we can bring a little bit more ease, a little bit more spaciousness to parts of the body which might feel constricted or tight, around the shoulders or the neck, or the forehead or the temples or the jaw, which can hold so much tension. Inhale and bring some Shabbos to those overused, tensed up muscles of the face. Maybe let the jaw hang slacken a little bit. Double Torah portion this week. Bahar Bechukotai are the Torah portion that speak of the Shemitah year, the year of release, the sabbatical year, the Shabbat year, and also the Yovel, the Jubilee year that follows after the 7 cycles of sabbatical years. Shabbat Shabbaton, the ultimate Shabbat. So this is a Yom HaShabbat, a day of Shabbat that calls to mind the years of Shabbat and the cycles of Shabbatot, and invites us to go deeper and to practice Shemitah, to practice release, releasing grudges that may have built up over the week, releasing resentments that may have built up over the week or the years. Releasing expectations of others and of ourselves that have not been met or might be impossible to meet. Accepting this. And for the last stretch of our sit together, the last 10 minutes, we'll sit in silence and share again the simple, powerful, beautiful teaching of my friend David Brunetti offers these instructions with a period after each word. Now, period. Here, 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 period. This, period. Now, here, this. Yes, period. Perfect, period. Thank you, period. It's set for another 10 minutes and nurture that stillness. Welcome Shabbat together. Coming to the end of our sit, the last few minutes, coming back and calling to mind our framework of Dayenu, enoughness, of remembering I am enough, we are enough, I have enough, we have enough, it is enough, this is enough. This breath, this moment, this body, this place. I'll share with you as we come to the last few minutes of our sit together, this poem by Jan Richardson entitled "This Day We Say Grateful, Ascending Blessing." It is a strange thing to be so bound and so released all in the same moment, to feel the heart open wide and wider still, even as it turns to take its leave. On this day, let us say that this is simply the way love moves in its ceaseless spiraling, turning us toward one another, then sending us into what waits for us, with arms open wide to us in welcome and in hope. On this day, on this Shabbat, in this place where you have poured yourself out, where you have been emptied and filled and emptied again, may you be aware more than ever of what your heart has opened to here, what it has tended and welcomed here, where it has broken in love and in grief, where it has given and received blessing in the unfathomable mystery that moves us, undoes us, and remakes us finally for joy. This day, may you know this joy in full measure. This day, may you know this blessing that gathers you in and sends you forth, but will not forget you. Oh, hear us as this day we say grace. This day we say grateful. This day we say blessing. This day we release you in God's keeping and hold you in gladness and in love. If your eyes have been closed, I invite you to slowly let them open and come back together in this place of stillness, this Shabbat Mishkan that we've created, and wish you all a sweet Shabbat. May the sense of stillness and gratitude permeate your Shabbat and the days ahead. And friends, we seal the practice as we do every day by offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing a yard site to recite the mourner's Kaddish. For those who are not reciting Kaddish, to please stay present. For those who are, offer your support and compassion in their time of loss. You can put the name or names of those you're honoring in the chat box now or after we recite Kaddish. And thanks to Kat for sharing the words of the mourner's Kaddish on the screen. If you're reciting them, you're invited to join me by rising in body or in spirit. And you can unmute at this time. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbi.
Amen.
Yama Divra
Purity.
Hayekon, Yomechon, Uvchaye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Bizman
Amen.
Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevarach, Le'olam Ulamei Amen. Yitbarach, V'yitzabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yinaseh, Yithadar, V'yithalel, V'yithalal, Shemos Kudshah, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata v'tush b'chata v'nechamata amiran ba'alma miru amen. Yehi shlama rabba shemaya b'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael miru amen. Oseh shalom miromav uyaseh shalom b'shechinu v'al kol Yisrael.
Amen.
Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, as always, thanks to Kat for holding our space. Thanks to our anonymous donor who sponsored our practice today, and appreciation for this week of practice. And very grateful to that. Next week, we'll be back with a full week of practice. I'm putting in the chat the schedule for here's our schedule for teachers for next week. Rabbi Jenny Solomon, Rabbi Susan Leiter on Tuesday. Rabbi Sarah Brandis will join us from Israel on Wednesday. Rabbi Joshua Bodiger on Thursday. And delighted that my colleague Rebecca Schisler will be back to lead us, as she does so beautifully on Fridays, lead us into Shabbat. She'll be back next week on Friday. So we'll look forward to that beautiful week of practice together. I'm happy to stay on to respond to questions in the chat if you have about any aspect of the teaching or practice this week. And if not, I want to wish everyone a sweet, restorative, deep Shabbat, even if you just have a few moments where you can make use of the practice from this week and bring it into your day. That would be wonderful. It's wonderful to get to share this practice with you. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on questions. There were some questions. There were some questions yesterday or observations yesterday that I didn't get a chance to respond to that I think are really kind of important, and actually are probably the objections I would have raised were I sitting and listening to me. And it has to do with how can we do this when there's so much service in the world? how can we sit here and be grateful and, say this is enough and everything is fine as it is when it's clearly not very fine. So I want to address that, and that is a voice that is very strong in my own head, and so I want to address that. And first of all, just want to remind myself, remind all of us that this quality of hodaya, gratitude, is just one aspect of this journey that we've been on during the Omer, and will continue for 2 more weeks. So this is just a tool, an ingredient. Maybe I like to think of it as an ingredient in the recipe. It's not the only ingredient. If we were only focusing on salt or sugar or something, one ingredient in a recipe would say there's too much of that. Like, what about this? So gratitude, and this idea of gratitude as being cultivating the ability to be with this, is, from my mind, an essential element in responding to the unfairness, injustice, and let's just say the gap between how things are and how we wish or believe they should or will be eventually, that gap. In our tradition, we have 6 days a week, which are devoted to that, devoted to working on ourselves, working on our relationships, working on our world, working on tikkun, repair, in all those dimensions. And what we do on Shabbat and with gratitude practice is integrate into that an essential element without which our work of repair on ourselves, on our relationships, and on the world would really be problematic, because it would be lacking any ability to be appreciative of ourselves, others, or the world as it is. It would come out of a place of fear or anxiety of not enoughness. And so this is building in a little smidgen of enoughness to be able to take the edge off that in some way. The week of the Omer we've now entered into, beginning last night, is this week of Yesod, where in our rubric of Midot that we work with at IJS, we work on the midah of tzedek, of doing the right thing. So we are beginning to bring all the qualities that we have been immersing ourselves in for the past 5 weeks into action and into our communication with others. This coming week is this week that we're in, the week of Yesod, is the week of cultivating our ability, our capacity to act as a tzaddik, a person who does the right thing. And the week after will be the week of Malchut, the week of Shekhinah, the week in which these qualities that we have been noticing, cultivating, strengthening within us are expressed in our speech, in the ways we communicate, and the ways we interface with the world. So this is gratitude in service of repair, is the way I would put it. It's not an end in itself. We're not want to make sure that everyone understands that we don't understand Judaism as a practice of tuning out the world or pretending that the problems don't exist. So I hope that's helpful. All right, I'm going to scroll through and see if anybody wrote a question. I had a poem about craziness. Deborah, I don't remember that, but maybe somebody else will remember. Thanks everyone for this very lovely appreciation. No questions? If there are no questions, let's see if there's any questions. Anybody remember this poem about craziness? Okay, I don't see any questions, so that's fine. Oh, the beautiful song we heard. Thank you. So here's that song is it's well in English it's called Gratitude, but it's a melody by Nava Tehillah, which is a community in Jerusalem that has created a lot of beautiful original Jewish liturgical music and other music. And it's a community where you actually can go and pray with them and daven with them. Not sure how often they meet in Jerusalem, but they, not every week, but almost every Shabbat. So I put the link to the playlist for, did I? Yeah, I did. The playlist, Spotify playlist for songs of gratitude, which includes that's the Nava Tehillah gratitude song. Yeah, Lori, thank you. That's my plan. We're going to sit for a few minutes, and I'm going to invite us to actually sit with that melody again it's lasts about 5 minutes. So I'm going to invite us to close out just by coming back to spend a few more minutes on our still lake. I will say that, and I know some of you folks are in the Berkshires. What I'm just so you have a point of reference for what I'm visualizing, and maybe you can put in the chat if there was a particular place that you were imagining, a specific place you were visualizing. I was picturing the Stockbridge Bowl, which is rarely perfectly still, but occasionally it calms down and is very still, and it's there's a moment when when the water reflects the sky. Okay, I'm just going to answer Blima's question quickly, and then let's sit for another couple of minutes to close. Blima wrote, when we move to gratitude, it includes awareness of what isn't. Any advice on that? My mind went to that. Even as I was saying words like "this is enough," I was thinking about what's missing. I was thinking about what's missing in my life, or what's not. And I think, for me at least, the practice then is to accept that too, which is really kind of what this mindfulness practice is. Accepting with as little judgment as possible that which is arising. Oh, I'm grateful that I can notice what I'm missing too. I'm grateful that I can notice that. In other words, I'm not getting caught up in the lack or in what's missing or what's not this, but I'm aware that that's another this. It's just noticing an awareness of a sense of lack or a sense of fetching, or there's another complaining thought, or there's another fearful thought, or there's another anxious thought, or there's another I'm worried about money thought, or there's another worried about my health thought, or yeah, I feel good now, but what about tomorrow? Eventually I won't feel good. I don't know about you. That goes through my head. Yeah, this is great now, but so it's noting the objection, like what I was, calling on my legal background here to say objection noted and taken under advisement, to set it down. I don't need to rule on the objection, nor do I need to get all worked up on the objection, saying, oh, there's an objection. Okay. All right. So that's what I've got on that. All right, everyone. I'm going to put the words on the screen again as I play it. So if it's helpful for you, the source sheet has both poems that I shared today, and let's just sit with these words. And if you prefer to just listen on the lake and let the vibrations of the music be with you, that's great too. So here we go. Here we go.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון.
All right, everyone, we're at time. Again, many thanks for sharing the week together and wishing you a wonderful Shabbat. Thanks to Kat. Thanks to whoever of you sponsored our practice today. And we hope to see you on Monday on the other side of Shabbat. Have a wonderful Shabbat weekend. And for the mothers, have a wonderful Mother's Day and celebrate motherhood this weekend. And we'll see you on Monday. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.